Good morning, it's your man DeAndre Saxon, aka Miami Patron, coming to you from beautiful Colombia. What's going on, guys? Now, if you're watching this video, it's because you saw the title. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I did $13,000 in pre-sales for my first online course launch. Now, this wasn't my first course that I created, but it's the first one that I technically launched. So what we're going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be showing you the good, the bad, the mistakes, and what I would do different and what I did good, so you can get value from this. So if you're thinking about creating your first online course, or you already have it and you're ready to launch it, this video will help you out. Because of that launch that was almost 4 or 5 months ago, I've been able to travel since my 23rd birthday. I've been in Colombia now for 3 months and been all over, the United States, Puerto Rico, just living from my laptop from that launch and the clients that have come since that. So my life changed just like that. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. So let's hop into my computer right now and I'll show you how. What's going on, people? We are in the computer now, so let's hop into it. I got some notes prepared for you to give you some great value. So how I made $13,000 my first 10 days pre-selling my online course. So let me go ahead and give you some preference. So you already have an online course right now inside of you. So if you're thinking about watching this video, it's probably because you want to start an online course, you're thinking about it, you have one, you want to sell it. You're probably in that mind space, because why else would you be watching this video right now? So right now, if you're in the beginning stages, you have a course in front of you. So what is your passion? What is your skill? What is your expertise? What is the knowledge that you have? Because there's somebody in the world right now that wants to learn from you. So if you're thinking about it, okay, what kind of subject should I think about? Or what subject should I create a course about? What subject could you speak 2 hours about? Is it online marketing? Is it dance? Is it cooking? Is it how to build an Instagram page? Is it how to make YouTube videos? There's so many different things that you can do, and you don't want to get bogged down, because you can always change the subject. If you want to write a list down of like 5 to 10 things, go ahead and do that. And it's okay if you're not an expert on your subject yet, because you can learn about it. So this is an important thing, and this is actually what I did. So Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi talk about this in one of their programs. You can either become an expert, a broker, or a reporter. So let me tell you what the difference is. When you're creating your first online course, right, you can become, number one, an expert. What an expert is you're the one that's in the field. You've been doing it for the last several months, years, or however long. For example, I had a Facebook ads agency for about 1.5 years. I spent over $50,000 on Facebook ads. So if I was to create a course on Facebook ads, right, not that I wanted to or anything like that, or really wanted to dive too deep into it, the Facebook ads, I was an expert because I was running it. I had clients paying me multiple thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So I was an expert in that field. So I could create a course around it, which I ended up doing. Or you could become a broker if you want to create a course. What a broker is helping other people sell their programs. Now, if you're watching this video, you're not falling into that category. So what you're either going to fall into is number 1 or number 3. Now, when I launched this program here, now, what's a reporter? A reporter, what he does is he goes to the experts in the field. He gathers the information, right, does interviews, watches their course, watches their program, gathers the information from all these people making millions, and then forms his own program around their expertise. So that's actually what I ended up doing. So what my program was around was helping coaches launch their own digital products, right? So in the process of this, I made many mistakes, right? But obviously you can see success because I made $13,000 in about 11 days. So I made many mistakes, but what I did was, behind the scenes, I had 4 months of preparation. Between December and April, I launched in April. Between that time, I was prepping. I was watching courses. I was learning about how to create a course. I was learning about how to do all this stuff. Now, why is it that I actually got into creating courses? Because courses changed my life. Everything I learned from my Facebook ads agency, everything I've ever learned, I'm a college dropout, was all from an online course. And when I launched my first online course, which was about a Facebook ads agency, I did about $10,000 over about a 2-month period. And I saw the power of an online course. So yeah, and that was when I did that $10,000 in my first, about 60 days. I had no experience whatsoever in online courses. So I knew that if I got really good at this, I could really not only make a lot of money, but I could help others make a lot of money as well, because I had, a slight success without any experience. So what I did was I took 4 months to learn how to launch a course. Right? Even though I wasn't an expert, even though I hadn't made 6 figures, I was willing to learn from the people that were doing it, take their knowledge, implement it myself, and build my muscle and my confidence. So when you sell a course, it makes you an authority automatically. It's almost like writing a book. You become an authority. So I taught what I learned from 1 year of successful online marketing. Like I said, I had a Facebook ads agency. I had success with that in Miami. And then I took my 4 months of learning how to do an online course. So what I did was I learned from the course and the best people in the industry. I took their programs, what was good about it, what was bad about it, and I literally just studied between December and April. Hopefully that's 4 months, I think it is, right? And I became a reporter. And what I did was I mapped out my 7-week program between what my marketing experience with Facebook ads and what I learned from from my first launch and what I learned from the experts in the field. And I mapped out a 7-week program, a high-ticket sales script, and I built a sales funnel, simple sales funnel that took me about 2 days. So from December to April, I learned how to do it, right? And it took me about 2 days to finally begin the launch sequence. Now, let's hop into some details right here. So who is my niche? My niche was helping coaches create and launch their first digital course. Now my audience, it's super important to have an audience. Going back and I'm looking back at the feedback of students, and even I've been diving deeper. It's now August now. I launched back in April. Having an audience is super important. Now it's okay if you don't have an audience. It's just a little bit more difficult and takes more time. So if you have an audience, this is great. Now if you don't, I would focus on building that audience. So I already had an audience when I first started. So I had about 13,000 followers on, I think more than that, I think like 14,000, doesn't matter. But I had about 13,000 followers on Instagram that followed my journey for the last year. So most of them were following me from my Facebook ads agency, the lifestyle that I was kind of showcasing in Miami, traveling and like the crazy shit I was doing in Miami. And so here's a key step. My course launch subject was different from what my audience was used to. So it was almost like I was starting from scratch because none of my followers knew that I was helping people create courses. They knew me as the Facebook ads guy, right? So it almost was like I started without an audience. So I had to start, put my bootstraps on and get up and get going. Now, my mentor. It's super important to have a mentor in this process. Like I said, I was a reporter. I wasn't the expert. I had a little bit of experience, but nothing to really brag about. $10,000 in 6 months, 60 days was nothing to brag about. So I had 2 mentors on the subject. I had one mentor on how to create a course, great course content. I had one on how to generate sales. So my goal is super important to set goals. And by the way, guys, if you go on my Instagram at Miami Patron, you can actually see this entire process documented from scratch to the very end. From like, hey guys, I'm going to be launching this new program on how to teach people how to create courses. I have that all on there. So go under my highlight tab. It's under 0 to 10,000 in 7 days. Because you can see my goal here was to make $10,000 in 7 days from complete scratch without anybody knowing that I was launching, helping people create courses. And it's super important to set goals. So here was my big mistake. My big mistake was not building an email list or giving away an irresistible offer. So like I said, I had 2 mentors. The first mentor was Sam Evans, by the way, and he doesn't really believe in building an email list and doing email launches, all that kind of stuff. That was my big mistake, because now that I look into building an audience and stuff like that, I think it really is important to have a freebie, to build an email list, to have an irresistible offer, because you are able to build your list and your audience a lot faster. So that was my biggest mistake. If I was to now that I am relaunching again, I am building an email list. So that is something that is important, guys. So you don't want to stray away from that. Now, my pricing. So a lot of people have questions about pricing. So when I launched my program, like I said, I was a reporter. I wasn't the guy making multiple 6 figures a month selling a course. I had previous experience. I took 4 to 5 months to learn, and I combined it together. Now I had to take the knowledge that I had of marketing agency, success with that, learning, and form my own program with that. So I wasn't the most confident to charge $5 grand, 10 grand for this. I wanted to see, hey, are people willing to pay me even though they know I'm not the expert yet, right? So I started at $1,000. That's where the price ranged from $1,000 to $2,000, because and this is something where I wish I wouldn't have done it as well, but I needed to build that confidence. This is something for me on a personal. Like I said, this video right here is super transparent. So my first course, I really want to start at $2,000, but like I said, I don't know if I was ready yet. So my first course I sold for $1,000. And the rest of them was $1,500 and $2,000 respectively. So I had clients at $1,000, some at $1,500, and some at $2,000. Now, none of them knew that, but that was just something for me. Once I knew somebody would pay me $1,000, I knew they'd pay me more from that. But that was just something for me to build my confidence with, to know that people are willing to pay me for my expertise. Now, this is how you might be feeling as well. So this is being completely transparent. You might not feel confident yet to charge $2,000, $3,000 for your program. And this is something that I did. So what I did was in return, I promised to teach it live. And what I did is I taught it live to perfect my program, gather testimonials, and get customers results. That was my main goal, and that's why I taught it live. Now, I did let some key influential people into my program for free because I knew they had audiences, they had email lists, they had a big following in Miami, they held major events. So I knew if I let these people in, got them results, their testimonials will be able to, help leverage and move me forward. So that's the preface of the program. So let's get into the launch. Now the launch. My sales mentor didn't believe in launches, but I knew deep down I had to acquire all my customers within a short period of time. 1, because of momentum. 2, because I was teaching it live. And 3, because I wanted to make as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time. Right? So this is what I did. I started by sending DMs to my Instagram followers. Like I said, I had about 13,000 followers at the time. I went to the follow list and started DMing people that looked like somebody that would want to create a course. Now, like I said, a lot of my followers were, between the age of 18 and 23. Not a lot of them were ready to create a course or ready to make a financial investment. So I looked for business people, people that were doing something, people that had, nice bios that looked like they were professional. It was actually funny. One of my followers, and I don't know if you've seen this in my videos, the executive for Salesforce has done over $100 million in sales, is now one of my students. He came from my Instagram DMs. At the time, he only had like 2,000 followers, and he was following me. I messaged him, ended up connecting with the executive sales manager at Salesforce. So that's an amazing thing. He's in my program now. But anyway, so he came from that. So what I did was I would DM my followers. I posted on my story that, hey guys, I'm launching this program, and I documented the journey. I think that was the most important thing. I was documented the journey, and I was transparent. I messaged about 100 to 200 people that I felt were qualified on my list. And within 3 days, guys, 3 days of me launching and documenting everything, I closed my first sale for $1,000. So I knew that if somebody can pay me $1,000, that built my confidence and that skyrocketed. I was like, you know what? Somebody can pay me for $1,000, somebody will pay me for $1,500. So like I said, I still didn't felt ready to go up to $2,000. So the next program I sold was the very next day for $1,500, all from my Instagram DMs. Like I said, they didn't know about the pricing. They're still getting the same value either way. That was just more for me. So I leveraged my existing clients and relationships that I had, and they gave me referrals. Like I said, I had a Facebook ads agency. I was still running at the time. So I was still making money from my Facebook ads agency, and I had big relationships back in Miami. So I leveraged these people, and they gave me referrals. So I ended up closing a client for $1,500 and another client for $1,500, and that's when I knew, okay, I can raise my price to where I want it to be, which is $2,000. And then within that week, I closed one for $1,500, one for $2,000. So within my goal was within 7 days to make $10,000, but at 7 days, I was only at $6,000. You can actually go on my story. I think it was a little bit less, like $5,800 or something like that, because Stripe takes out money. But I was ready. I launched and I was ready to do it, and I was hungry. So I had made $6,000 within the 7 days, and the rest of the sales trickled in from ads. So at the time, I did run a little bit of ads. I spent about $2,000 in ads. And so what happened was people didn't buy right away, but they saw me documenting the journey and everything like that. Over the next couple of days, they actually did end up buying, and also following up on DM. So over the next 4 days. So even though I didn't hit my goal, I actually went over my goal by extending it a couple of days over. So I ended up doing $13,000 over about 11 days or so. So that was my launch journey. So let me tell you what I think, why it sold, and why I think I had success launching that, even though I wasn't the quote-unquote expert, but I was willing to be freaking badass and learn and become an expert in my field. I'm freaking hungry like that, and now I'm getting better, and it's getting better every single day. And now my customers are getting great results. So why did I think it sold? I think it sold because of this. I was at least 3 steps ahead of my students, because most of them had no online marketing experience. So some of you might be thinking, well, you're creating a course on how to create a course. Some of you might be thinking, well, you weren't even an expert in the field. Guys, it doesn't matter. You only need to be a couple steps ahead of your students. Think about it in high school. Your teacher's not an expert in their field, but what they are is they read the chapter before and then teach it to the class. That's basically all it is. So that's all you have to do. All you have to do is be a couple steps ahead of your students. So none of my students had any marketing experience. They had no idea how to build funnels, ClickFunnels, nothing. I had experience with ClickFunnels for over a year and a half. I had spent multiple 5 figures on Facebook ads. I knew how to get clients. I knew about digital marketing. I grew my Instagram account. I had launched a course that was 5 figures in profits. So I had not the most experience, but I had just enough to get my initial students in, right? And I had a small track record. Like I said, I had a small track record for my first course, but more importantly, I was transparent throughout the whole process. I told my students, hey guys, I'm not an expert when it comes to creating a course. I'm not making multiple 6 figures a year. But what I did do was I have experience experience in online marketing. I have experience in growing Instagram accounts. I have experience in sales. I have experience in not multiple, but I have experience in 5 figures with my first course. I spent 4 months learning how to launch a freaking course and get really badass at this. Now, what I promised to you is I promised to work with you one-on-one, in a group setting, live. You get to ask me questions, Facebook group. You also get access to the final version of the program. This is just the beta program, right? So this is all pre-sales, by the way. I had no course set up, had no video set up, no copy, nothing. This is all pre-sales, by the way. All this money that came in was just from DMing them, getting on the phone, selling them on the idea, collecting the money, putting together the program in a live setting. So there was no, intricacy or videos recorded or anything like that. Because that was my big promise that I did to them. So all my students had a similar pain though. They had been trying to start their online business, but were stuck. They've been trying for 1.5 years. They didn't know about ClickFunnels. They tried it. They canceled the subscription. They were just stuck. And so I knew I could help them because I had experience for that over the last 1.5 years with my marketing agency. And my big promise was to teach it live where they could get immediate feedback and they could access the future for my first launch, even though I was a reporter, even though now I am an expert, I guess you could say, in the field, and I'm ready. My program has become refined throughout the last few months. My biggest takeaway was this. I would focus more on getting student results faster and working on the student's mindset. That would be my biggest takeaway. So when I first started, I focused too much on the tech and stuff like that, and I should have focused more on human psychology, getting them success right away. For example, when I launched it within 3 days, within 4 days, I had a little under $5,000. So I had momentum. I was excited. So that would be my biggest takeaway is helping students get results faster and working on their mindset, because people don't do what they need to do. And whether you create whatever course you want to create about is getting people to do what sometimes they don't want to do. It's like, okay, people think about this. When they get home at night, they're going to be watching your course, or they're going to be watching TV. So it's like getting people to do what they want to do, especially when they fork out the money. So guys, that is how I did my $13,000 launch. Now, I've gotten so much better at that. My students have gotten great results. I posted some of their testimonies. You can see them on my Instagram page. You can see them on my YouTube channel here. If you want to learn how to create a course, I actually have a couple things you can do. I have some resources that you can click down in the link in the description below. You can check out these resources, right? And it's an ultimate guide on how to launch your first online course. I also have a checklist that you can also take a look at. Also, I want you to follow me on Instagram so you can follow me throughout this journey. And guys, like I said, I'm documenting. I'm not, not claiming I'm the biggest expert, but I'm documenting as I become a badass, person in my field, dominating the industry from the scratch. So guys, hopefully you got a lot of value from this. Follow me on Instagram. Check out that free resource, and let's make it happen. Thank you.